Hi and welcome to Help Your Kids podcast. My name is Dr. Mish and I'm a psychotherapist, a coach, and I'm also a lecturer in child and adolescent mental health. This podcast is all about how you can help your kids, and my co-host and I do it from a position of being parents, but we're also therapists.
Yeah, so I'm Shelley Smith. I'm also a psychotherapist and supervisor and also visiting lecturer. 2018 I founded Sunrise Wellbeing, which is our hub of support for people of all different ages in Leicester. And it's just great to now develop our support services for parents and to have this Help Your Kids podcast, which we're really proud of.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good
How
day.
are you?
Yeah, I'm all right actually.
Good.
Right, I like your t-shirt.
Thank you. Like your jacket.
Thanks.
Like trainers.
Like trainers that no one can see, apparently. Apparently, no. You know, when you think we got,
I don't know if my leg can.
and you're like, I chose these trainers because that, like, it's a conscious choice. And
I
then,
love them. Nice and bright.
Yeah, anything bright. Well, we're very bright here, aren't we?
We're colourful people.
We are. And interestingly, the topic we're talking about is feeling less than colourful.
Yes.
So it's that's a lovely tenuous link we made there.
Exactly.
So
It's the opposite.
I'm just gonna. So last time when we were talking about like the manosphere and stuff like that, we ended with the idea of being open to discussion, being curious, etc. as a parent. And one of the things that I had a bit of feedback around was that despite being open, engaged, having those conversations, the person was saying that they feel exhausted and thinking like they're getting it all wrong and they're running on empty.
Yeah.
And that really links to the episode that we did around self-care, but we wanted to bring it back specifically to look at parental burnout and overwhelm. And really, I think if you're someone who sought out this episode specifically, that it might be really speaking to you. I realise that you're here for our wonderful trainers and our sparkling wit. But perhaps more so, you've sought out this episode because you're thinking, I'm just going to have a listen to that one. So it might be speaking to a part of you as a parent that feels quite vulnerable. Might be something that you've not had a chance to discuss with anyone, or you might feel a little bit shameful about. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that as like, we see you. If you're here for the actual content,
you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah,
we get it.
Yeah.
And some of the literature and the thinking and research around parental burnout is that it's becoming increasingly considered as something specific to the parent role, which is why we wanted to do this episode on it.
So important.
Yeah. And the signs of parental burnout are overwhelming exhaustion related to parenting, feeling an emotional distance from your children, and that sense of being ineffective or a lack of fulfillment as a parent. So if you're feeling those things, that's really sits in that parental burnout overwhelm bit. And there's a model around this, which I thought was really interesting, which they call the balance between risks and resources. So it's called the BR squared model, which I think is quite a cute name. But essentially what they've highlighted, the researchers around this have highlighted that it's parenting demands chronically exceed available resources. So we're not talking about just a bad day.
No.
We're talking about a massive, massive feeling of overwhelm that is ongoing and leads to you feeling entirely exhausted, having that emotional distance and just feeling like you're a pretty shoddy parent.
Yeah, and as you were talking those things through there, I was thinking, oh, yeah, I can feel that one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And physically, they are really distressing as well, aren't they? We
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about emotional overwhelm and it affecting your mental health, but the physical feeling where you may have noticed that you may be feeling more tense, or you've got palpitations, or
Yes.
you've got more aches and pains, and everything just together as a whole just makes you feel more and more swamped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're wading through treacle with it all.
Yeah.
And you've got
I
to
think
dig
so.
deep for
Yeah.
that bit of, right, I've got to go and deal with this now.
Yeah. And it's almost that feeling sometimes where maybe you wake up and you think, oh, really? It's like the responsibility, the roles,
Yes.
the to-do list.
Yeah.
And what you were saying before about the resources that you have, if we think about yourself as a battery, we spoke about this on the self-care episode. I think about where are you, what % are you?
Yes.
And needing to charge yourself up to be able to complete the task or to get through whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you're working at minus 30 already, you haven't got enough left in the tank, have you?
Yeah, you're over what was left.
Exactly. So I think pausing, breathing, giving yourself permission to think about, okay, so what is in my stress container? What have I actually got going on? And what realistically can I manage?
Yeah. When you talk about stress container, what do you mean by that? Because obviously we know what you mean.
Yeah.
What, if someone's listening to this, how would they
think
understand it?
The stress container kind of visual, I think, is really good to have as a resource for anybody, really, just to think about what you can manage, what's on your plate, what expectations are on yourself. So if you imagine, we'll put the resource link in the comments so you've got it, because if you can't see me, you won't know what I'm doing. But if you imagine you've got a stress container, so it is a container, and at the bottom you've got a tap. So whenever anything goes in the container, we have to have the tap open in order for that to be let out. But what happens sometimes is, as the stress container gets bigger and bigger, so more things go in, the stress container gets very full.
Yes.
So it's going to get very wobbly. It's possibly going to crack. And we need to have that tap open at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because if the tap gets turned off, or if it gets blocked and more stuff keep going in, it doesn't feel very nice, and it feels, well, it can lead to complete burnout and not feeling like you can achieve what it is that you need to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the really important thing about the difference between a bit of parent stress and burnout, because it's that overwhelming feeling, and it's not the one-off, I've had a couple of tricky days. It's the constant, this is something that I'm having to deal with, and it's really really tricky. All of those things going into the stress container. Yeah. It's coming out a little, but actually there's too much coming in, the overload of it.
And that overloading feeling is something that in our work comes out a lot when you're talking to parents. So they might say, I just feel like I can't come up for air, or I can't possibly do what's expected of me, or it feels like a big black cloud sometimes just following you around, and you can feel like, oh, I'm just never really getting through what it is that I feel I need to do.
Yeah, and when we're thinking about this as an idea, there's all sorts of parental demands that come into this. Yeah. So if you think of all the things that are going into the stress container, it would be like time pressures of things, the emotional labour of it all, any kind of behavioural challenges that you might be faced with at home. There might be financial strain, like navigating systems such as school or hospital appointments or any things like that, or if there's some extra caregiving challenges, such as if there's neurodiversity that requires a lot of your attention, or like I say, that kind of medical appointment, things that need a lot of your attention. If you're being called out from work a lot because there's some behavioural challenges that your child is struggling with. So all of those go into the kind of stress pot, the stress container. And alongside this is, whilst your tap might be on and you're trying to get that stress through, it feels very alone. Yeah. So it feels like it is your stress container. Yeah. And there's no one else propping that up or saying, let me take this from you. Yeah. It's you're having to deal with it. So that's part of that, the drip effect of it.
Yeah.
And what tips us over the edge.
And also recognising what is in that tap, you know, what are you doing to keep those things flowing? Because when you feel like you can focus on your self-care or looking after yourself, you might be doing some exercise or doing a bit of mindfulness or meditation or going for a walk, but often they're the first things to go, aren't they?
Oh, definitely.
So when that stress container's getting fuller and fuller, the tap is getting more closed because you've not got maybe the time to do the things that we know we need to be able to put our oxygen mask on and to kind of fill ourselves up with that charge and that oxygen that we need to support other people.
Yeah. And I think it's important for us to say that we're sat here, yes, as therapists who can talk about burnout and blah, blah, blah. But also we're parents.
Yeah.
You know, this is not something that's not been felt. It's not we've not included this just because of others saying that it would be useful or having that comment. It's actually like a thing that I can say absolutely, I totally understand that feeling of going, this is too much, and how on earth am I going to get past this, get through this? It's a really, really difficult time, and I think it's okay to say that it's a serious thing.
Yeah. It is. It's okay to acknowledge it. And sometimes even as therapists, wellbeing practitioners, we might be talking about self-care and preventing burnout and looking after yourself and you matter too and all of this. And then when we're trying to do that ourselves, we might overlook it. We might ignore the signs. I'm just talking from personal experience. And sometimes it's when someone else notices that, like our supervisor or a colleague or a peer, and they may say, I feel like you might be having a lot on at the moment. I feel like you might be struggling. You know, maybe you need to pause. Maybe you need to practice what you preach. And it's that permission given sometimes. It's like, okay, so it feels like if I was prescribed it, I would do it because someone's allowing me to. But when you're in a caring role, I think it is one of the hardest things.
Yes.
Because you are torn between that feeling of looking after yourself versus not letting people down and needing to be a parent, needing to be a therapist, needing to be a colleague. But it is so important.
Yeah.
And for us to own that ourselves and say, actually, you know, it's hard, but it is something that is necessary.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that kind of speaks to us as people who do a role in which there is a lot of empathy and essentially caregiving, we kind of are aware of it in that professional sense.
Yeah.
That part of our professional obligations are to try and minimise that. Yeah. You know, if we're burnt out as professionals, we need to take action for that. But there seems to be a bit around parents being overwhelmed and burnt out that is almost the norm sometimes, almost expected. I'm like, I'd kind of encourage us to go, let's not expect that as part of our parenting role.
Yeah. And let's kind of support each other in normalising that it's okay to pause. Yeah. Or it's okay to say no.
Yes. Which is hard. To put your boundaries up.
To put your boundaries in, to feel like if you're juggling, you know, a lot of things, that it's okay to think, well, what can I pause? Yeah. Even if it's just one or two things, just to give yourself a bit of space, just to kind of recuperate and to reflect and to think about what's important to you. Yeah. One
of the things that I found when I was having a look at this as a topic, I found it really interesting that parental burnout, there was a really big study done that was across global essentially, and what they found was that parental burnout varied dramatically across cultures. And it seemed to be more highly experienced when there was societies and cultures that were individually based rather than community based. So the idea essentially of the village raises the child, and cultures that had a strong sense of we rather than I seem to fare better with parental burnout. And I found that really, really interesting. And I think in a lot of Western cultures, we live in an I culture, And generally there can be a lot of difference across other cultures in that that sense of we are a community, that everyone raises the family, everyone's around the family. So that's a really interesting part of the research around all of this.
It is, and if you think about that sense of loneliness when you are feeling overloaded, even if you have physically got people around you, but you're still feeling lonely and like it's all on your shoulders, there's a lot of pressure, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure, and it's hard to know what to do with that pressure. Often with burnout, so when I've worked with professionals who are experiencing burnout, they often get help when they're like literally on their knees.
Yeah.
And the early signs of burnout are often dismissed. Oh, I'm just a bit stressed. Or I've got a lot on. And if we apply that same thinking to parenting, I suppose what I would suggest to parents is don't wait until you're literally feeling like you just
Completely
can't cope.
on the floor.
Yeah. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed with exhaustion, you're feeling like you're losing connection with your children, and you're feeling ineffective as a parent, you're quite far down the line then. So I would encourage us all as parents to go, what are my early warning signs? And I do this with professionals that I work with, who are parents, who will try and sit down and go, what are the things that tell me I'm not okay? So like you said, the stuff around like exercise might go out the window, or healthy eating might go out the window, or I've just not got time to see my mates anymore because I've got this, things like that. So what are your early warnings? Or your sleep. I think sleep's a massive thing that tells us so much. If we have consistent lack of sleep because we're feeling overwhelmed, or we're exhausted and go, we just can't sleep, but I still can't sleep. That's telling us something.
Yeah, and I think it's also in the behaviours that maybe I suppose other people might be witnessing, like you might be more snappy, you might have less patience.
Yeah.
You know, often they can be early signs where you're just feeling like, oh, I just haven't got the capacity mentally, emotionally to take in anything else. And we know there's research around people in the caring profession that they are more prone to burnout. And if you think about parents and carers, they're responsible and caring for others. So they are also going to be more prone to burnout because they've got more care that is needed to be given.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why that it might be true. So if you're listening to this and going, yep, we get it. So if we were going to come up with a few tips for either what to do about it or what might people want to think about, where would we start with that?
I think it goes back to pausing, giving yourself permission to stop, because often when we're burnt out, we just keep going, don't we? And we're not really stopping, and we're not really coming up for air. We're not catching our breath. So pausing, maybe sitting down with a piece of paper and thinking about what's in your stress container.
Draw
or doing
it.
a list or whatever it is to visually see how much is actually going on, and thinking about the things that can go for now that you can put on hold.
The things around like letting people know.
Yeah, that's huge.
So if you do sit down with a piece of paper, you draw it out or you write the list out, whatever it is, share it. Share it with someone and just go, this is everything that's going on for me and I'm struggling. That vulnerability that we'd hope to instill in our kids. Because fundamentally what we're talking about here is your relationship with your kids. If you feel like that's being impacted, you kind of probably want to do something about that.
And kids, young people, they'll come up with their own conclusion. So I feel like the best thing is to try and be honest and to say, I've got loads going on. I'm really struggling a bit. I'm just taking a bit of time just to kind of get my patience back, get a bit of clarity. But it's okay to let them know, because often as parents, we feel like we can't show that vulnerability, or we've got to be seen like with this really strong parent. It might be a sign of weakness or that we're failing as a parent, but it's not. It's actually modelling that you matter and it's okay to look after yourself.
That could be a really big thing as well. When I do like workshops for parents about tips and stuff with in helping their kids, I often talk to them about the idea that you are, whilst it feels like in that interaction you're dealing with what's in front of you, actually you're helping that child who's 3 years on, 5 years on.
Yeah.
You're always working with a version of them that they don't know yet.
Yeah.
So you're almost modelling that. So if they can see that you as an adult who apparently has everything together, whatever that looks like, and they can see that it's okay for you to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Modelling that as, you know, I'm struggling with this and I need some help. It's such a good lesson.
It is. It's an important thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because you will only help them do that when they're, you know, life can throw some stuff our way. So it will only help them ask for help when they need it, and hopefully earlier.
Yeah. And that's why burnout can sometimes come thick and fast, because it's those unexpected things on top of everything else that gets thrown at you, that you've got to kind of think on your feet and manage. But it's not like we stop doing some of the other things to take over and manage that big thing.
Yes.
We just try and keep doing it all.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do. So remember to ask for help.
Yeah.
That you said about permission to pause.
Permission to pause. Let people know.
Let people know. Have that stress container.
Yeah.
Visually, it can really help.
I think
see
so.
It.
In my experience, when people visually see, there can be this kind of acknowledgement of, oh, okay, no wonder. No wonder I feel like that. Look at all of this.
Yeah.
And then go one step further and ask yourself what's in your stress container that actually belongs to you and that belongs to someone else, because you might need to hand stuff back. That's a big thing, because you might be worrying about other people's stuff.
Yeah, so absolutely. And I've done one before, which is kind of like a stress container, but is almost like a pork pie.
Yeah.
So you carve it up into like a pie chart.
Yeah.
Oh, you could say pork pie because I like pork pies.
Pork pie's nice.
Sponsored by pork pies. But yeah, you're carving it up into segments off a can be a cake, can be a pie, can be a quiche, whatever you like, cheese wheel. You're carving it up and saying what how much percentage of that takes up head space, time space. And often the little slither that is the me time is teeny tiny. And what we want to do is try and make that as big as possible.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to help your kids as much as you can, you've got to look after yourself.
You have. And that putting your own oxygen mask on first concept is something that we all need to remember, that if we haven't got our own oxygen mask on, we can't actually help anybody. So sometimes we're trying our best, but we feel like we're failing because we're not feeling very productive.
Indeed. So how are you feeling now?
I feel very supported. And I was just going to touch on I think it was a couple of months ago when I was feeling a bit burnt out and I was feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I listened to our podcast. I was drawn to listen to our podcast when we were talking about self-care. And as much as I'm not too keen on listening to my own voice, I listened to our podcast and I felt like that's just what I needed to hear today.
Oh, good.
And I felt really held and I felt really supported. And I felt like, that's what I actually need to do.
Oh,
today.
I'm well chuffed with that.
So I think
we helped
ourselves. Help our kids.
Who knew we'd get an added benefit from that?
Yeah, full circle.
Oh, that's good, yeah. So that was in season 1, that episode, wasn't it? But that's good. Let's hope that, do go back to that one.
Yeah, and it's good to revisit this again
definitely.
And again, because we all need those reminders that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So that's a wrap for season 2.
Season 2.
So hopefully you've got something from all 8 of these episodes. But we would like to hear from you now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've done our bit.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Tell us what you think.
What you want.
Tell us what you'd like support with.
Yeah. It would be really useful for us as we start planning season 3 to have a sense of the things that you're interested in, the topics that might be useful for us to cover, questions that you've got, like we've done on this kind of second half of season 2.
Yeah.
It was really useful having those little prompts. It just meant that we could kind of stop guessing, I suppose, and this is what we think people would like. But we'd really like you to, it's a show for you.
Yeah.
So come and influence what you want.
Absolutely.
So drop us a line, send us a message, and then we'll consider everything for when we start planning season 3.
And even if it's a topic we've already discussed, but you've got questions from that topic and you think I'd like to know more about certain things, let us know.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening, everyone. It's a joy doing this podcast and sharing our knowledge. So we'd like to continue it. We're always open to speak to sponsorship.
Yep, especially trainers.
Trainers or chocolate.
Or
Chocolate's
pie.
Good. Bright Things.
Anything
Sponsored
rainbow
by Bright
tastic.
Things.
Yeah. Get in touch.
But yeah, lovely to have you all here listening and watching. And we'll see you for season 3.
See you for season 3. Thanks for your support.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.